So what do you think about objective morality?
अरे कहना क्या चाहते हो?
Objective morality is the idea that right and wrong are factual and exist independently of opinion.
Okay. I think, like I told you back when I was on call with you, objective reality is
Sorry.
objective morality is something which doesn't make sense at all.
Hmm.
Because whatsoever thing you pick in reality, be it an opinion, be it morality, be it anything, everything is almost subjective in nature. There cannot be concrete yes or no. But again, uh, because if you know the nature of knowledge in itself, when it is defined, there is nothing true or wrong. It is just that majority of people believe that at that particular moment of time that this is true. So on that particular basis, yes, there could be an existence of objective morality.
Yeah, but why don't we expand the horizon to beyond people?
Beyond people,
Yeah,
as in
because if we are
explain.
talking about objective morality,
Mhm.
that objective thing needs to consider everything, right? Like not humans, because
I mean,
in that way, that is a subjective to humans.
yeah, but that is the point. It has to be like that because the only thing which matters to us is ourselves. The universe is around us, not.
See, this is a paradox. If I see कि मैं as a person, me as a person is finding this A activity as right and B activity as wrong. I am saying only thing that matters to me is me. That's the same thing as saying कि only thing matters to humans is humans. Just
And
at
that
a
is true.
very different scale.
And that is true.
That should not be true. That should not be the actual objective morality.
It should not be, I agree, but it is what
Yes.
it is.
Hmm.
Because you cannot deny that. Like everything, every aspect you pick up, there's a selfish motive behind that.
Hmm.
Anything, even the most selfless of the selfless task you can think of, has a
Hmm.
selfish biasness to it.
Hmm.
It's bringing you happiness, right? Charity or whatever be.
Hmm.
Okay. So at the end, you're doing it for yourself.
Hmm.
Yourself being that particular individual, whoever the is.
Hmm.
I think I should not use foul languages on this, but yeah, whatever. Uh, Therefore, when it is all about ourselves, then that morality is also driven by ourselves. And then, because of the variation in humanity, variability, that subjectivity comes up.
So,
So it's objective from a collective human point of view, but subjective in terms of individual opinion. And you can always have an objectivity based on the if you drop that what is that curve called as bell curve
bell curve.
of humanity. Yeah. So if you take that 80% of humans, wala thing, from that you can get an idea of that objectivity.
What if someday human civilization evolve enough to build a Dyson sphere? You know Dyson sphere?
I've heard of it. If you can expand something about
Yeah,
that.
so Dyson sphere is basically a concept where to extract the maximum energy from your star, your sun, you enclose that star with your sensors and your energy
Yes.
absorbing technology so that you can extract the most out of that star. Okay, that is
Yeah.
Dyson sphere. If we happen to do that in our lifetimes, I'll be happy to see that. But let's hope that we'll ever build this. Maybe humans, maybe successors of humans, whatever, and it affects life on Mars, or let's say Jupiter, Uranus, whatever. We don't know whether life is there or not, but let's say
Yeah.
it affects life on other planet.
Yeah.
Is that objectively morally right or wrong?
I mean, you don't have to take it to that level of future. Also,
Hmm.
it's there right now. I
How?
mean, we were clans earlier, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so you have a crowd in India, then you have some Native Americans, then you have some crowd in Europe, their own spheres. But when they are mixing up, the definition of morality changes again.
Hmm.
You have all these bigger terminologies coming up, racism, whatever,
Hmm.
all those things. And at that time, again, new terminologies will evolve. And
Hmm.
you'll have new sets of. So, like knowledge is ever changing. There is nothing absolute true or wrong.
Hmm.
And everything changes over time. Even if you read research papers, you'll see something which was proven in 1950s or 60s. It has changed. Not everything, but some of it has changed. And it is constantly evolving. So, when we are talking about morality, we should always talk about plus minus like 50 years frame. I don't know the exact value, but it should be a small scale. You cannot expand it to, really in the past or in the future.
So you're saying that the question of objectivity and subjectivity depends on the time frame in which you are living,
Yeah,
or the time frame in which you are observing that.
I think so. Like, what is your opinion on this? What do you think?
Uh, I think there is some sense to the objective morality, in the sense that for every intellectual species, either it be let's say some microorganisms on some XYZ planet, or some intelligent species on Earth like humans, and humans are not intelligent, sorry.
We are trying to be.
We are
Don't be so
trying really
pessimistic.
hard.
Yeah.
So any intelligent species that has some self-awareness into it, they basically develop a set of rules which they call an objective morality, and they are not really objective at all. They are actually subjective to their species, or the species, or the intelligent, the concept of intelligent being has some subjective morality attached to it, which they need to accept it as an objective morality, right?
Hmm.
So
Right.
if I see the basic things that we need for the life to evolve, to be so self-aware, to even think about morality or something like that, that life needs to have a very basic kind of quality gate through which it should pass on, and that quality gate is survival. And for survival, you need to think about yourself subjectively. If you can't think about yourself, you will not evolve enough to think about objectivity of a morality, or the objectivity and subjectivity and that their differences in general, I think.
Hmm.
So
That's
we
a very good thought process. And like to just add cherry to the top of this,
hmm,
it also has levels to it. So
hmm,
we start with individual,
hmm,
okay, and then it becomes a collective,
hmm,
a group. They will think about themselves and their moralities. Then a layer of society,
hmm,
and then my country or whatever, and then my continent, and then there are layers. So
hmm,
now I'll bring it back to your point. When we find another life on some other planet, this will be a layer. We'll collectively think of human morality at that time,
hmm,
regard to that other species' morality. And once we get into together and we interact with some other intergalactic species,
hmm,
what then we'll think of solar systems
hmm,
morality or something like that. It's all layers on top of another,
hmm.
like an onion.
Enrico Fermi was a guy. Basically, what he did was he asked question, like, if there is some intelligent species that are existing in the universe, we have multiple thousands and billions of stars, and multiple thousands of billions of planets that are in a habitable zone in those stars, and those solar systems are in habitable region of their respective galaxies, right?
Mhm.
So basically Enrico Fermi asked a question that where are they? If we'll find some new life on other planet,
Yeah.
that scale will think of about them with our perspective of morality,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then we'll scale up to their levels.
What?
If you see the history of human beings also,
Hmm.
we were a really wild species once upon a time. Like,
Hmm.
oh, territory, I want my stuff. Just like that. But if you see how societies and civilizations are moving forward, you are moving more going towards peaceful directions than aggressive directions.
Only after
And
we have fucked it up enough.
exactly. So now, suppose you discover a new planet with some inferior form of life,
Hmm.
you you have reached that level of sensitivity and knowledge that maybe what if we just gonna go and mine stuff, it will kill that particular species.
Hmm.
So from again, we are coming back to morality. Should we do it or not?
Hmm.
It depends on how peaceful and how sensitive a person becomes to their abiotic or biotic surroundings.
Hmm.
And if you see that is in a it's increasing as per development in society, at least the scientific development in society. Then again, our morality will be to guide, to protect them from them, like terrorists and whatnot.
Hmm.
So I think we have expanded it a lot. So we have to compress it a bit because I am lost where we are going.
My thought was that if we are talking about the objective morality, I think the objectivity doesn't exist. The more you know, the more you understand that that aspect is a subjective, not objective. And there are layers to it, as you said, like an onion peel. There are layers to it, and those are infinite. If you think of let me give you an example. If you think of your city, let's say you become a politician, you'll think of your legislation. Okay,
Yeah.
I need to do something good for my legislation. Beyond that, I don't need to give any care. Okay, you are morally right to your legislative assembly and the people that are living there and their welfare. Ideally, it should be like this. I'm not saying it happens in India, especially, but ideally, it should be like this.
इस सज्जन को क्या तकलीफ है भाई?
uh, when you go beyond your legislation, you understand that you need to do good for your state, not that legislative assembly or the district of those people. The things which you are doing for those set of people in a legislative assembly or the legislation of your small district might not be correct for other parts of that state. So you will change your policy. You will alter your moral compass to fill out those bigger pictures or those big data set of people, and you will find another way to be objectively moral to those people. And then you will go to, let's say, nation level, and then you go to continent level, you go to global level, and you will start doing that. And I think you are right that the more you dig into that, the more you become so-called objectively moral, but that might be subjectivity to another level.
I mean, I have a thought in my head which I think could be a bit tough to interpret, but
Hmm.
I mean, you can maybe
Shut up and take my money.
think of a tentacle, like of an organism. So at the tip of the tentacle, it's always searching for stuff,
Hmm.
and the base is kind of rigid.
Hmm.
So your morality is like a tentacle.
Hmm.
This is your subjectivity part of it. It's
Hmm.
searching for what is right, what is wrong, and then slowly, once you go down levels, you are making things concrete, more
Hmm.
objective.
Hmm.
So once something is established, you can call it as an objective morality, but it always starts from the subjectivity point of view.
Hmm.
So any new thing which you land on will always be subjective in nature, but then whoever is involved in that particular thing, they will reach to some objective conclusions, so that everybody maintains their sanity. People don't go insane. You have to do that.
I have an interesting thought. It should be a criteria of judgment for people who uh, could think at what level of moralities, and who is acting at what level of moralities, at what level that person is shifting from a subjective mindset to an objective mindset. That should be a judgment criteria for humans, I think. I'm just suggesting.
And there are certain disadvantages to it also.
Hmm.
I mean, like for example, right now we are in 21st century, right? I think I'm right? Yeah. So right now, okay, we are converting some subjective thoughts into objective thoughts. Yes, we are all very happy, and then what we are doing is we are passing on those objective moralities to the future generations, right? But maybe that morality doesn't hold anymore. I'm not talking about extremities like killing someone or something, but like the slight object, like the slight moral, the silver linings of all the moral things. So those things might be ever shifting and ever evolving, but if you set it to a very concrete thing and you are just passing it on, maybe you are just I mean, it's kind of brainwashing the future generations in a way. So that is
like we have been brainwashed.
Exactly, like this, you should be doing this, you should be doing that.
This is right, this is wrong.
Exactly. And the thing is, until unless you're really self-aware about these things, you will not dig into these things. You'll just follow like any other individual.
Yeah, exactly.
And right now, even people might claim like, yeah, I'm self-aware. I can claim that, but I am not. There are so many other things, so many small things in the background working. We have no fucking clue about those things, and that's the thing, right? Then that questions our morality again. Is it right to do that?
Yes, exactly. I read somewhere a few weeks back that humans don't actually need to bathe in this current hygienic states for 2 days. Like they don't need to bath for 2 days. It's okay.
God, what the heck are you saying, Gagan?
Yes. If that has been scientifically proven that you don't need to bathe up until 2 days. After that, you need to do that. There are some consequences to that. Like if you bathe regularly, it affects your hair follicles. It affects your skin. Like
you've brought a really nice point.
Yes,
With the addition of technology and what's so not, there are other people who will like to tamper those morals, right?
yes, yes,
Then what to do?
yes.
Your Honor, as you can see, my client is speaking nonsense. Stop.
Now scientists have proven that it's not really necessary to do that right now. Like we are already living in a very hygienic state. Our immune system works a lot nice, a lot good, a lot better than what we used to have in those early human lives. So yeah, of
And
course,
also, I would say you should be around germs from time to time just to boost your immune system.
of
If you're
course,
totally devoid of that thing, you're basically weakening your immune system. Again, you should not take it to extremities.
Missing her vaccination dates.
We're not vaccinating.
nothing is objectively right. When you deep down into that, when you see it from a very different perspective, you find that there is some subjectivity to it. I think morality is the more you dig deep into that, the more you find that everything is subjective and not objective at all. Like
Yeah.
there are
But I
multiple
have a
layers
question
and
for
those
you.
layers are infinite. If you go beyond your actual perceivable things, you will find that everything is actually subjective up to the point of very elementary levels.
Mhm. Now, I have a question for you regarding this.
Hmm.
Now, since you are establishing the fact like everything is subjective in nature,
Hmm.
even this slight like the way I'm holding the pen,
Hmm.
I don't know, this might not be the most efficient way. Maybe this is, maybe that is.
Hmm.
So now a very conscious human being who's like really self-aware and whatnot,
Hmm.
he'll start to question everything around him,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Every small aspect of it.
Hmm.
Don't you think that will be an overload for the brain to handle all sorts of questions 24/7? Everything.
Stop that!
Hey, thinking hurts him. Maybe I can think of a way to use that.
It's good to think of things as subjective in nature, but maybe we don't need that much of subjectivity. There is a requirement of objectivity to just reduce the load on our brain.
That is why I said it should be a criteria to judge how critical thinker a human is. The more you can think about it at deeper levels, the more you are at a critical thinker. And to be honest, me being a very critical thinker, I have observed in last year that I can think about that, but I don't need to, because that doesn't affects me. Of course, your brain will go towards that. You'll think about it. You are an overthinker or you are a critical thinker. You will think about it, but you have to train your mind to not being affected by that. Think all you want, but not get affected by that. And for people who could not think up to that average level, they don't even have to care about that.
I mean,
They're just living their lives,
That's blissful.
driving, driving luxurious cars, earning money and whatnot.
I mean, not only that, like, but anyway, like,
You can, but you should not. You don't need to do that. If
But
you're being
don't you
paid
think,
to do that, that's a
uh,
very different story.
it becomes really tough for critical thinkers for moments where they have to take a critical decision, but it lies on the borderline of the morality zones, which, like, even if you think of things objectively, there will be a partition between those, right?
Of course, of
And
course.
some issues might fall on that,
Hmm.
and it affects multiple of parties who are looking towards you.
Hmm.
And you are a critical thinker. You can really think both the directions really well, and both of them suits really well. But
See,
I
it's
don't
a
know if
very
that question makes sense,
yes,
but
yes, yes. It does make sense.
because I've been in such situations, and I'll
Basically,
say you, it's very
basically,
troublesome.
you
Yeah.
want to know at how much levels you need to think.
Exactly, because at that point of time, you know of that thing, like it's looking things from a bird's eye perspective.
Hmm.
When you look from that perspective, a lot of things will feel like it's crap. Like you don't have to do that particular thing or whatnot. In the long run, this thing will matter more, but these things won't matter more. But the surroundings where you are, the people you're surrounded with, they might not agree with that bird's eye view or that perspective.
Hmm.
Or maybe your bird's eye view doesn't match with the bird's eye view of other people. I don't know. Like it can be anything. It's really hard to explain this question. What I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
But I think you got the gist or the feel of
yes,
it. So
yes,
maybe
yes.
you can share some words.
We
Yeah,
had
yeah.
multiple discussions about this.
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
If you're stuck in that kind of situation, the best method is not to think about whether the decision should be right or wrong according to your moral compass, but you should read the people. You should read the people who are getting affected by that. What are their moral compass? And you need to average out in that mean arithmetic curve, bell curve. Like most of the people are lying in this zone who find this activity as yes as morally right. You need to follow that. You don't
So
need to think about
basically,
anything else.
if you're a critical thinker and you have a lot of responsibility attached to you, you also have to showcase a deep level of analytical empathy.
You need to study the statistics and the probability of what might happen and how it affects the others and how those others are lying there. Where are they lying in that mean arithmetic graph?
Hmm. And in that
It,
process,
it, it
obviously,
becomes a
yeah,
very tedious task. I
yeah.
can understand
And
that.
if it's like one decision per day, it's fine. But then there are human beings out there who are like making infinite number of calls just in a day.
I have sometimes tried to do things randomly. Like
Hmm.
I won't even think about it. Just do it and see what I can get.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because after a while, you tend to get enough experience or enough confidence to know that you'll handle everything. Like if you can't handle it, you will find a perspective in your mind that that perspective will give you a positive attribute out of that situation, and no matter how the fuck situation is. Yeah, in general
Ba-
life, it might work.
Basically, then, if you are having some, I'll just connect it to our topic because I think we are going a bit AWOL again.
Hmm.
If you have a moral dilemma or something going on,
Hmm.
and you have the capacity to critically think about it, rather than, just going inside layers and layers of thinking, you take it to certain level with some objective morality in guidance, and then you start doing some action, and then with over the period of time you evolve that particular action based on
Exactly. That is
your
that is a very good strategy, to be honest.
the empathy which you have at that time, and then the
How much,
because you
what kind
yeah
of reactions you are getting from the people that are getting affected by that decision?
in the earlier part of this video, like, you start with your subjective morality, you check things, you make it concrete, but again with over time you have to keep a check on your objective moralities which you have,
Hmm.
and morph them also with the time of your society or your surroundings or whatever.
Hmm.
Mm.
In an absolute terms, objective morality it is almost like your field of view. If you are standing on a very a hill, you'll see up until the horizon, and the horizon is like 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, or whatever. If you go to a mountain, you'll see a horizon 15, 20, 35 kilometers. The higher the strength of your moral compass, the more you can see the objectivity in that, in every decision you make.
Mm. But again, like, I don't know, are we yet to conclude or not? But one of the concluding factors, what I would like to say is, even if your morality is subjective or objective, it is always advised to critically think if you can on
Yeah.
these backgrounds.
Yes.
And even if you can't critically think it, at least give it a thought. Like,
Mm.
whatever be, like in whichever way you are thinking, because I've seen human brains work in really different patterns and whatnot. So try to question things. If we question more, we get more answers, we get more clarity on that, and that gives us more relief in taking such complicated decisions in life or future or
Mm.
whatever. It's all also about how much you balance curiosity. It's if you
Mm.
become totally curious,
Mm.
like at times I become, and that can be seen from a very negative light from the societal point of view. And if it is being done, you might say, "Who gives a?" But it has to be given a certain level of, because if you're aloof from the society, your viewpoint, your all those things are not valued at all, and you
Mm.
cannot convey or spread your thinking, at least how you
Mm.
think.
Mm.
So you have to see that balance also. It's like 100% curiosity is also not that of a good thing.
Of course, you can't question everything. Somewhere or the other, you need to understand that we are not designed to go beyond this point. Our brain has some limitations. Our brain, our perception, our understanding of the universe, or our understanding of all the social elements that are around us.
Yeah.
We have a limitation to that. We need to, and there's no point pushing our boundaries actually.
And then, related to this thing, what you said, uh, for some group of people, they cannot do that first thing which you told, like just be in a bubble,
Mm.
because uh, everybody's mind is not the same, right? So you have certain mind structures which are like, it will go towards curiosity.
Mm.
And I'm just stating that point because I think I am one of that species. And I need something for my brain 24/7. If I don't get, I become restless. And if I don't put my curiosity at the right place, it goes to all those shitty domains where it should not go. And but again, we are deviating from the topic because it is on morality. So I don't like we can talk on this on another topic on some other day
Yeah, sure.
about
But I think
types of minds and how they work and all those
yes,
things. I
yes,
think
yes.
it's an interesting topic.
It's a very interesting topic. Let's see. But yeah,
Yeah.
in conclusion, I think morality and objective morality is something which has some multiple factors to it. Like as you have said, there are layers to it. The more you try to understand, the more you add those objectively moral right or wrongs to the subjectively moral right or wrongs domain. It depends on time also. It depends on your evolution also. It depends on the social structure of the society also. It depends on your perception also, most likely. Because if something which I know is objectively immoral, but it might be moral for some people and it may affect. So it has a cause and effect theme to it. So in general, if you are
I
facing a
mean,
very
related to this, I'll say any decision you take in this world, there will be a group of people who is not okay with that. There
yes,
always will be because humans are so diverse. So uh, that's a good thing. And to just add another point to it, I would say you have to also see morality from a scale point of view, and there should be two scales which should always be isolated. One is self, and one is whatever else, the society or whatever you say,
hmm.
because yourself
I'll
thinks
correct
you.
you here. I'll correct you here.
Okay.
One is self, and one is those who are getting affected by that.
Yeah, you can say that. Yes. And why do you have to maintain the self is because if you don't do that, you will lose yourself. This I've seen often I've seen this with critical thinkers. There has been a lot like all those eccentric peoples in the past. You pick up Freud, you pick up Einstein, you pick up anybody. They have always have really strange opinions on things. But then again, they stuck to those to maintain their identity, to not lose their sanity. And be proud of what you have, your scale. But again, critically think of it always. Like, not critically, but at least give thoughts to every decision which you think is morally abided by. So do not lose that self zone.
Yes, of course. But
That is
don't get beyond that. You are starting to affect other people's.
Yeah, yeah.
Good session.
Yep.